Decarabian, Lord of the Tower, was the ruler of what is now known as Old Mondstadt. He thought his reign to be a good one, but his people did not see it as such, and thus rebelled against and killed him. In this video, I'll go over his story, and how the God of Storms fell along with his city 2,600 years ago. Also, if you like this video, consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, let's move right on and get into the video. Decarabian's story begins 3,000 years ago, in a time known as the Age of Kings. During this time, the Archon War was going strong across Teyvat, but in Mondstadt, the only gods fighting were Decarabian and Andrias. At the time, Barbados was just a wisp amongst the thousand winds, but we'll get to him later. Anyways, the two gods were collectively known as the Kings of Ice and Frost, hence the time period being called the Age of Kings. It is unknown which god held which title between Ice and Frost, but the names made sense, as at this time, Mondstadt was not the luscious green land that it is in modern times. Instead, it was covered in snow and plagued by blizzards, caused mainly by Andrias. Wanting to protect his people from this vicious weather, Decarabian decided to form a wind barrier around his city in the area now known as Old Mondstadt, or Stormterror's Lair. The barrier was so powerful that Andrias with all his power had no chance of getting in. Decarabian believed that he had protected his people from the blizzards and the cold, but they started to see it in a different way. The people believed that he was a cruel ruler who had locked them in. Decarabian desired to control every little aspect of his city to make sure everything worked well, even deciding where people lived. His intentions were not bad though, he just did not understand the needs of humanity or their desires. Even so, he did have a human lover by the name of Amos, but he did not love her the way that she loved him. His disconnection from humanity and the lack of understanding for them was a main reason as to why his people decided to rebel against him. So now, let's get into the story of the rebellion against the Lord of the Tower. While Decarabian believed that his people bowed to him out of admiration and respect, that was not the case. They did it because they felt they were forced to, and so many that were growing tired of his rule formed the rebellion. At first, the rebellion started off in secret, with members using the code of the Windblooms to identify one another. Eventually though, the seeds of the Windbloom blossomed into a full-on rebellion against Decarabian. This rebellion consisted of various people who were fed up with Decarabian's tyranny, but there are a few worth mentioning by name. They included Gunhildr, an ancestor of Jean and Barbara, alongside a certain member of the Ragnvindr clan, which is the family Diluc belongs to. There was also Decarabian's lover Amos, and of course the nameless bard and his wind spirit friend. Together, this remarkable group of people were able to rebel against Decarabian and make him and his city fall. The wind barrier was destroyed, and the people were freed. However, in the process of this fighting, many people were killed, including both Amos and the nameless bard. After the fighting ended, Andrias, seeing that he was not fit to rule over the people of Mondstadt due to him also not understanding humans, voluntarily gave up his life and went on to exist in spirit form in Wolvendom. With both Decarabian and Andrias deceased, the wind spirit would then ascend to godhood and become the animal archon of the Seven, Barbados. Barbados took the form of his friend, the nameless bard, and also took up the bow to honor Amos. He would then form Mondstadt anew, using his new powers to blow away the blizzards and change the landscape. He would create a new city on an island inside her lake, which would go on to be known as the City of Freedom. These days, Decarabian's legacy lives on in the remnants of his old city, as well as in tales and legends. In the Mondstadt Archon quest, the traveler ventures to this old city alongside Jean, Diluc, and Venti to save Dvalin, who is poisoned by the Abyss Order. The traveler also ventures here with Dainsleif later on to reclaim the eye of the first field tiller. While most people these days don't talk about Decarabian, there is still so much of his story that needs to be told. His city is believed to have stretched much farther than just what is seen in game, so in future updates it is possible that we may learn about this god of old and the lands he ruled over. Like many of the old gods, I really want to know more about Decarabian and his abilities. I'd love to hear your thoughts about him down below in the comments too. Anyways, that's all I have for you about Decarabian today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.